Report on a journey to the western states of North America and a stay of several years along the Missouri during the years 1824 to 1827 by Gottfried Duden. Preface, Part 2, Number 2. A second type of publication about North America, however, can be accused of intentional distortion of the truth. To this class belong the colorful advertisements of certain regions and conditions that were circulated because of greed and have only too often led the gullible to their destruction. Most frequently one finds deliberate misrepresentations in books written in passionate struggle against political opinions. At the time of the French freedom vertigo, the admiration for North America was boundless. Now, usually the other extreme prevails. What in the beginning was honest enthusiasm soon became influenced by intentional exaggeration and false praise of everything connected with the name of the United States. Absolute arbitrariness is today the idol around which nebulous spirits swarm. They see the opposite in the transatlantic states and consequently declare it point blank to be the realm of evil. Finally, the enemies of all immigration, the friends of overpopulation, must be mentioned. But even the better publications were by no means exhaustive for my purpose. I found travel adventures, pictures of cities and landscapes, peculiarities in the animal world and in the plant world. I found descriptions of customs and their usages, of the virtues and vices of the Republicans, tales about Indians, and several other things, all of which have value and can be read with pleasure. These publications provide little additional information regarding things a cautious immigrant must inquire about, other than what can be learned from whole volumes of statistical tables. This much, however, became known to me, that the country was least to blame for the serious misfortunes that befell so many emigrants, that the blame was to be placed rather on something else than desolate steppes, bare rocks, and scanty forests, or swamps with pestilent odors, about which Friedrich Schmidt writes. The unfortunate results of later attempts at emigration challenged me all the more to investigate what the land itself actually offered to the stranger, and this curiosity could not be appeased by the sneering and faint-hearted verdict that the land was nowhere suitable. In a certain struggle with the adherents of this inert theory, I often pondered on how infinitely more valuable to humanity the distant river areas had now become because of the invention of the steamboat. Furthermore, I was more and more inclined to think that the success of emigration depended almost entirely on the way in which it was carried out. I was especially of the opinion that emigration from Europe had to be directed to the same regions where most of the natives were also looking for new homes, just as Europeans in their initial adjustment looked upon the natives as models. Therefore, I considered it a serious mistake to make the final goal of the journey the lands on this side of the Alleghanies, where good places would be as expensive as here. It was in the midst of such thoughts and feelings that I arrived at the decision to inform myself firsthand about everything I had looked for in vain in the publications. Finally, I shall mention that several years previous to this I had occupied myself consistently with the study of medicine and thought I was sufficiently informed to provide medical care for my own body. The reader may therefore judge the historical value of what I have written according to the manner in which I pursued my purpose in detail. I am beginning the report with a series of letters, which in their original format were dedicated only to friendly correspondence. They will be considered as an informal preparation for the main portion. I consider the few pages concerning the nature of the United States of North America to be of primary importance. In them I have emphasized those characteristics of the foreign country and its inhabitants that are the most essential for the ethical world and that are most deserving of the interests of Germany. And this is perhaps the place where I should sound the warning that when reading the word overpopulation, one should not simply think of it as an echo of earlier opinions. The statement that Western Europe was overpopulated was made centuries ago, but its importance depends solely on evidence. If a person realizes clearly that I am talking of overpopulation only insofar as the essential foundations of the political conditions are corrupted by it, he will not confuse my remarks with those of Godwin and Malthus. The real evidence that a state is overpopulated consists solely in showing that the masses of the people can be kept within the bounds of order only by force, and that this condition of the whole is due, in the final analysis, to the excessive number of people in relation to their economic circumstances. The most important and the most unfortunate result of overpopulation is the necessary oppression of the majority, which brings them very close to the law of beasts of burden. Only insofar as this result has become evident in a country may one say that it is overpopulated. Accordingly, it is certain that a correct judgment presupposes an exact knowledge of the nature of the states, and that the person who does not base his reasons on the nature of the states will never come to a conclusion that will silence all objections. For if Malthus had based his evidence of overpopulation on this, the American Everett would not have believed that he could so easily suggest the opposite. One should not expect to find in this publication any general information about the geographical location, form, or political divisions of North America, which can be found in any school book. I also considered it unnecessary to include a special map, since the ordinary maps of the United States are perfectly adequate.